What you are about to hear is a video of me giving my thoughts before my first ever clinical research associate entry level interview. This was after I've already had a couple years experience in the industry, and I finally made it to the point where I got a call back to be interviewed for a CRA position, and this was official. So this is what I call a preview. You've heard some of the other previews I've done. The in-house CRA position, which I currently had before I was a CRA. But I did a preview of that, a review, everything in between. So I'll be releasing the same thing for the CRA stuff. So this was previously recorded. But enjoy this preview. Hopefully you'll learn something that you'll be able to apply. So I've got a CRA, Clinical Research Associate interview with a company, not going to say their name, tomorrow. I'm pretty nervous about it. They are not a CRO, actually. They are a sponsor. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be a lot different than, being an in-house CRA for a CRO. And I think some of the differences are going to be that the decision making is going to be a lot faster, because working in a CRO, you've got to ask the sponsor a lot of times for questions on things and things of that nature. I'm not really going to delve into that, but if you're working at a CRO, you've got to always confer with the sponsor on a lot of things. But I'm looking for that to be diminished, because the project manager is going to know the answer and going to be able to give you a defined answer. So that's one of the frustrations with working at a CRO. But that should be alleviated working for a sponsor. So I'm really excited about it. The sponsor is actually specialized in certain therapeutic areas, but they are looking to branch out. And they're looking to bring in a couple CRAs. So I'm one of the candidates. And it has been a long process to get to this point, because first they had a recruiter screen, which was not like most recruiter screens. Most of the recruiter screens I've had before are very simple. They tell you about the position. They last about like 15 to 20 minutes max. They tell you about the position. Maybe they may ask you a few preliminary questions like, tell me about your current role, or why you want to leave and come to this company, et cetera, et cetera. They may ask just a few, maybe like 4. But this was like a full-on interview. This lady pounded me. She asked the full question. She asked the full slate of questions, like, tell me about a time that it was difficult for you, or tell me about your greatest weakness, tell me about one of your greatest strengths, and what would your line manager say about you if we asked them, or all these different questions that normally aren't asked until the actual interview. She asked. So yeah, that was interesting. I wasn't even expecting that. I was expecting like a normal recruiter screen, very chill, very laid back, but she kept pounding me. But anyway, made it on to the next step. The next step was a phone/Skype interview, with one of the hiring managers, one of the managers, and that went pretty well. That was even easier than the recruiter screen, to be honest. She didn't really ask that many questions, and in fact, she actually had to stop in the middle of it and answer a phone call for like 3 to 4 minutes. So that was interesting. So whenever someone does that, I know it's kind of like laid back. So that's good. So I imagine that in between those 2 times, they canceled out a lot of the candidates. They just marked them off, and they're only having probably a few people come in, and they're having us come in for a while. So I imagine they have cut down a lot, because typically the interviews are only 30 minutes to an hour, but this is on the range of 2 to 3. So I imagine there's only a handful of people that they're even seriously considering. And so I'm lucky enough and gracious enough and thankful enough to be one of them. I've been wanting to be a CRA for a long time. It's one of the reasons why I left medical school, was to be a CRA. And, the moment's finally here. So I'm ready to knock it out the park and kill it and crush it. So yeah, looking forward to doing the review afterwards. Did some preparation earlier, and yeah, so did some preparation earlier. not really going to film or recording the preparation this time because I feel like I've had a lot of the preparation because I went through two pretty intense interviews in a rapid amount of time. So just kind of think about my answers to the common questions that we talked about. Let me see, what else am I going to do? I'm going to, write my questions down in my little notepad that I bring in there. So I wrote those down. So I've got some pretty good questions. So I'll share that with you guys, some of my questions that I'll ask. So one of the questions I asked are, how are the studies assigned to CRAs? So I'm thinking, when you work in a CRO, there's maybe some business units. So like oncology business unit, if you're not in that business unit or that department, you're not going to get oncology studies. Or they may have like a cardio unit where all you do is cardio studies, something like that. So I'll ask that question. Maybe it's just a lottery, maybe it's just pick of the draw. I don't know what they're going to say. So I feel like that's a pretty good question. Another thing I'm going to ask is, can you describe the training process? And, it's a good question because a lot of companies will do different training processes. Some will have like dedicated programs where you're in there for a few months. Some will just kind of, maybe talk to you for 2 weeks. Some will give you a mentor to fly around with for a few months and then dump you out there yourself. So interested to hear what that's about. And I talked a little bit about that on the Skype call with the previous manager. And, she gave me a little insight there, but looking to see what some of the other people say. So I got another question, what in your opinion makes a successful CRA versus an unsuccessful one? Well, we'll see what they say to that. And I'll probably ask that to every single one of the people. Other thing I'm gonna ask about is CRA burnout. And what do you guys do to combat that? I know that's a big thing in CRA world. People can be CRAs and, a lot of times they are on the road constantly and they eventually get burned out. So I'm going to reiterate saying, hey, look, I want this relationship to be a long-term relationship so I could, grow my career here, grow up here at this company. But obviously CRA burnout is a real thing. And, that's one of the things, there's a lot of turnover. What do you guys do to combat, CRA burnout? Or how do you guys help mitigate it? Then, I ask them, what makes you want to work for this company? I ask them more like, what made you want to work for this company? And then, that's pretty much it. I don't like to have too many prepared questions because I kind of want it to be a conversation. So I kind of want to lean on my ability to ask follow-up questions or to some of the things they say, or I'll probably write down questions during the interview as well. If they say some interesting stuff. So we'll see how that goes. I think it will go pretty well. Like I said, the recruiter screen was pretty rough because I was not expecting it. I mean, it wasn't rough. I mean, I had answers, but I was not expecting her to go so deep in those questions as she did. So kudos to her. She kind of caught me off guard, but I think I, kind of held my own there. And then the next interview was even chiller. So not going to lie, I hope this is even chiller. So I'm meeting with four or so people. It's going to be 2 hours, about 30 minutes each. So we'll see. So also another tip, write down the names of the people you're meeting with. And you can even do a little research on them, see what they're up to. So curious to see that. I still haven't done that yet, so I'm going to do that right now after this. So let me think. Anything else I'm missing? No, I don't think so. I mean, that's pretty much it for this preview. So if you enjoyed this, want to see more previews for any of the other jobs that we'll be applying for in the future, or other companies or anything like that, obviously there'll be a review, a second part to this talking about the experience. So I'll probably record that the following day or a couple days after, or same day as the interview. We'll see. And we'll definitely upload that for you guys to see before and after. I know a lot of people are interested in the CRA process and what it takes to be a CRA. So what better way to learn about that than to hear about how a CRA interview is and how you can better prepare and what you can expect. So thank you guys for listening. As always, like this video, share it, comment down below what you guys think. And as always, email eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com for any questions or inquiries you may have. Take care, guys.